All right, guys, we're going to go over protists today. The protists that we're going to talk about have both plant-like fungal characteristics and also animal characteristics. Again, protists, even though they're single-celled organisms, they are eukaryotes. So don't get them confused. Just because they are single-celled, you should not get them confused with bacteria. Now, the way that they're divided up into different categories is whether they are animal-like, whether they have fungus characteristics, or whether they have plant characteristics. Gives the analogy of a junk drawer. That is because if you have a junk drawer at your home or a junk closet, you just throw a bunch of stuff in there. You rarely go in every now and then and you have a trouble finding what you're trying to look for sometimes when you go into a junk drawer. But it's just to give an analogy that protists are from a very diverse or very large variety of organisms. Okay, ones that are animal-like. So again, depending on how they move is how science is going to classify these things. So ciliates, they have those little hair-like projections that allow them to move. Flagellates, they have flagella, and we have those that are parasitic. Amoeba fall into this category. And again, what it is that they have these, it's kind of like they just take their body, stretch it out, slimy, and that's how it moves. Called fake or false feet, which are called pseudopods. All right, so here's an amoeba, and this is what I was trying to describe to you what a false foot looks like. So all they do basically is not a real foot. They just stretch out their body. Again, if you've ever seen like a slimy something on a horror movie or something like that, just slimy, just moving around, that's kind of how they move. They have vacuoles. We know that vacuoles help store things, so they have food vacuole. And they also have these contractual vacuoles, which are like pumps. So what happens is that because this is in the aquatic environment, the water is always trying to get in. So they have to have a way to kind of flush the water out and pump it out, or they would explode and burst. Okay, Paramecium is another example of a animal-like protist. Look at the structures there. It has some similarities between that and the amoeba, but it also has some differences. Interestingly, these little cilia, they act like boat oars. So they're all fluttering around at the same time, and it helps the organism move around. Okay, now we have our plant-like protists. Okay, these organisms can carry out photosynthesis just like plants can. Again, protists are very unique because they have many features of plants, animals, and fungus. And we interact with these pretty frequently. If you eat sushi, okay, if you enjoy sushi, that's an example of seaweed. Seaweed falls into this kingdom here, kelp, and dinoflagellates, green algae, red algae, brown algae. Some of these things are used in our food products as well, soups and things like that. And then also toothpaste. Toothpaste, they have some protist organisms that make up the toothpaste that we use. The Euglena is an example of a plant-like protist. What structure inside of this organism gives it away? How do we know that it is a plant-like? Yeah. Not the nucleus. The chloroplast. Because the chloroplast is the organelle that takes in the sun's light, converts it into sugars and other usable form of energy for the plant. So that is what gives it away. The other thing is that it has a flagellum. So we know that it also is a flagellite protist. Okay, lastly, we have our group of protists that act like or pose as fungus. They do exactly or some of the same thing that fungus do. They're heterotrophic. They have cell walls. They have spores as a form of their reproduction. Some examples include certain types of molds, mildews, and then the group of slime molds. They don't move all the time, but at one point in their life cycle, they did move.